Hey guys, hello. Happy Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm not even sure what day it is, but hello, welcome. Say hello as you come on here. I forget what I even titled this live stream. This live stream is for you if you straddle two cultures. What do I mean by that? In the past, this week, I've been talking about straddling two cultures or cultures, basically. Cultures in different forms, and this holding multiple cultures can come in different forms. I wrote about this last night. If you've been following me, you see that on my post. In any event, I wanted to talk to you today about your authenticity encompasses those cultures. Like it contains, those cultures are contained in your full authenticity. And that's what I want to dive into this afternoon. And so as you come on in, please say hello. Let me know that you're on here. Let me know that you can hear me, all of that good stuff. And if this is your first time ever catching me live, thank you for being here. I am Bissy McGregor. I am a multicultural straddler. I hold, from a nationality standpoint, I hold two passports. Born in the United States and raised my formative years really in Nigeria and then back here. And so there's a whole way of being, way of seeing the world that happens when you are a dual identity, a dual culture. Straddler is what I call it. I'm calling it, like we straddle these cultures. And so I am a life and mindset coach, and I work with women, ambitious women who desire to be in their fullest and truest expression. I'm a stand for the liberated woman. I do this through mindset coaching. I do this through speaking, training, private work with me, brunch with Bissies with me, and group programs as well. And so let's talk about it. So you've heard over and over again this word authenticity. I think it's one of those words now that is like, it's almost like a cliche, but it truly isn't. And it seems as though it's a buzzword, but the truth is it is not. Because what I have found for me, as well as the women that come into my world, even the men that come into my world, they are wanting to be authentic. They are wanting to be in their own full expression. And that's authenticity for me. Like in a nutshell, in a very simple way, it is being in your fullest and truest expression of yourself at any given moment, right? However, there are many things that hinder our authenticity. There are different things for different people. For some people, it's not the same thing, right? That hinder us from being in our truest expression. And in the work that I do, I can lump a lot of it under this umbrella called fear. Because our fear literally says we cannot be authentic. We cannot be our true selves. Otherwise, we are going to be rejected. We won't be loved. We won't be understood. We won't belong. We won't be chosen, right? We won't, the things won't work for us. The job we're wanting won't work for us. Relationship that we're wanting to attract won't happen. You know, our fear has a way of speaking to us in such a way that we back away from who we truly are. And I believe we're in a time where our authenticity is being called. It's being called forth. Like being called forth, being called to the test, being called forth to lead. Because So many people are walking in fear. We have, our technology is advancing by the minute, right? We're seeing all the advent of AI. We're seeing all the filters and everything, and we're not sure anymore what is our own true expression. And so one of the other ways that our authenticity is hindered is for the person who straddles multiple cultures. If you know what I'm talking about, let me know. Like I said, straddling multiple cultures doesn't only mean you're from two nationalities. It could mean you moved from, I don't know, the countryside to the city, and now you're working in a big city in corporate, and now you're kind of looking at the city people and saying, I think this is how I'm supposed to behave. I think this is how I'm supposed to move. Oh my God, I think this is how I'm supposed to dress. I think this is how I'm supposed to speak. It could be even women in the workplace. Like, I've had meetings with women where they go, oh yeah, I get dressed on that Saturday or whatever day it is, and I go on the golf course. Do you play golf? No, but that's where, you know, the men are. They're doing this, and they're contorting themselves, and for some people expanding themselves to fit into this corporate culture. They're looking at the ways the men are connecting and having conversations, and they're seeking to do the exact same thing. And it isn't true to you. It isn't true to you, right? These are some of the subtle ways, and we don't think about this. We think it's a strategy for us to be. It could be a strategy. And what I'm inviting you to begin to do or explore for yourself is, as you're in conversations or these different spaces, before you take on that strategy or that tactic, run it through yourself, run it through you. Like, is this for me? Is this true to me? Right? So I wrote a post a couple of days ago where I talked about, so from a nationality standpoint, and I'll talk to you even about my own experience. I remember being, just even career. Let's just even talk about career, choosing a career path, you know, because, and if you're African, if you're Nigerian, and that's typical back in the day, maybe things have changed today, but it almost seemed like there was only a few paths to success. Gotta be a doctor, gotta be a lawyer, what's the other thing? Engineer, architect maybe, but that seems like it's out of the box a little bit. But doctor, lawyer, engineer, and if you're not one of those three things, you're kind of subpar. And whilst on one hand, it could motivate people to do their best, to be their best, to put forth their best efforts in their studies or whatever the case may be, it is very, very disempowering. Like, I would never forget in 2020 when I went home to Nigeria to hold my Fear to Freedom live events. And I ended up going to one of the high schools that I had attended, that I graduated from actually. And I went and spoke to the 12th graders. There was about 200 kids in this school, these young girls, and they're between the ages of 14 and 16. Yeah, they're that young in 12th grade. They looked like so tiny, and I was thinking to myself, was I this tiny? Because I graduated also when I was 16. I was like, was I really this tiny? Because I feel like their skirts were like falling off of them, these little girls. Anyways, I digress. And I remember speaking to these kids, these girls who were preparing to take the exams, the equivalent of the SATs, to go to college. You know, there's a whole new phase. And afterwards, after I did this whole exercise with them, a few of them came up and to take pictures and talk to me. And I will never forget this one young girl. And she had this burden. I could just feel, sense, and I heard it and she did express to me how burdened she was. And the burden was, so what happens for us is in 10, 11, 12. In the 10th grade, when we're moving into the 10th grade, what is called the equivalent of 10th grade in Nigeria, you have to choose a path. Are you going to science class? Like if you know you're going to be a doctor, you got to choose the science path. Are you going into social sciences? You're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be or are you going to arts? And in the mind of the typical Nigerian, at least back then, or the notion, let me just even put it like this, because I know it still is, the notion, the idea, the belief is, if you choose the science route, you're brilliant, you're great, wow, you're it. Like, you are it. You choose a social science, you're kind of, you're all right. You choose art, God help you. You must not know Jack. Like, you must not know Jack. Now, so what happened with this girl who came to me and she says, she's just, I can feel her right now. So burdened. And she says, I'm in science class, but I love to draw. I love to write. I just love all the things about art. I mean, you could tell she expresses that. She does all of that. I said, what are you doing in the science? She's like, oh, she can't do the arts because her parents won't allow her. She has to do the science because the belief is she goes to the arts, she's nothing. She's nothing. And so just even at that age, 15, 16, she's already being moved, drawn away from what is authentic to her. What is her own gift? What is her own talent? And so what begins happening is we grow up with these beliefs. They're ingrained inside of us. Ingrained. And so we go to college, same thing. It's the same way you pick your major. This is what I'm going to pick because I can't be seen as. Never really in line with who you truly are. You get to the workplace, and the beliefs also that come with the workplace are still present. If you don't do anything about it, if you're not going through a personal reflection, digging deep, who are you, really unearthing what your core value, your personal core values are. I'm not talking about your families, your national, your ethnicity. No, you. Because I believe we all have them. We all have our own values, even though I come from Nigeria, even though I am Yoruba, even though we come from a family that isn't a non-polygamous family, a Christian family. There are all kinds of values inside all of those structures, and they all shape who we are. They all shape who we are. But one of the mistakes that most people make, a lot of people who are straddling different cultures, is that you do not take the time to do the self-reflection to dive into who you are. To dive into who you are. I don't know how many times, how many people I have spoken to that they just know, Nigerians who just say they have to be married. Why? Oh, I mean, they see that, I'm already 20 whatever, I'm already 30 whatever, I'm 40, I can't be unmarried. Like, tell me why. And they cannot speak beyond that because it's what society has said and dictated. You cannot be unmarried and be 40 years old. You got to be married by 20 something. You got to be married by 30 something. And God forbid that something is going on in the marriage, you end up staying in there because no, who are we going to tell that you're getting a divorce? Stick it out. Stick it out. And so I feel as though, and I've always felt this ever since I was a child. Kind of push back. I've always pushed back on the status quo. Always. Just pushing back on and just asking why. Why do I have to? Why? Says who? Where does it say? You know, there's a saying in my language that's always, how do they say it? Jakashe boshenche, or something like that. Boshenche. Kobari boshenri. So which means, let's just do it the way it's been done. Let's do it. This is how it's been done. This is how it's been done. Let's do it how it's been done so that it can result to how it's always resulted. And for me, I think there are two sides to it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You can, sure, but usually that's not what they're talking about. Oh, this is the way tradition says do it this way. Tradition says that a woman in her 20s has to be married. She has to listen to her husband like he's her father. And, you know, that's it. He's the one that's going to teach her X, Y, and Z. That's the way it should be, and that's how they use that saying. And you wonder why people are lost. People are lost, unfulfilled, unhappy, because you are not living in alignment with who you are. So when you are thinking about this invitation to be authentic, you really, really have to pull down for yourself. What are your values? What are your principles? Now, could they be similar to your cultural principles? Sure, but put them through your own filter first. Put them through your own filter first. And then that gets to be your decision-making funnel, if you will. Right? Not just that you're going blindly and just, oh, this is how they do it. This is how it's supposed to be done. I did the same thing in corporate. Oh, it looks like we're supposed to talk like this, and looks like we're supposed to dress like this in corporate. And before you know it, everybody kind of looks the same. Because there's a corporate lingo. There's a corporate thing. Even the behaviors. 2 o'clock, you're eating, you're drinking coffee and having whatever. It's corporate culture. Is it what you want? Is it you? So your the full gamut of your authenticity, your full authenticity is going to, for me, incorporate all aspects of yourself. And this isn't saying what I'm saying. This is what I'm not saying, actually, is that you got to demonize one. No, I'm a blend of both. I'm using the Nigerian and American, for instance. I'm a blend of both. And that's who I be. There's nothing, I cannot change that. That is my makeup. And it's also my gift to the world. Because my perspective is unique. My perspective is different. My perspective is mine. There's so many people who have that same mixture, American, Nigerian, but they're different from me. They're different from me because my blend is different, and that becomes my superpower. And when I finally got this, I freed myself because I no longer needed to work so hard to make myself acceptable. Yeah, I didn't have to work so hard to make myself acceptable. Just be. You know, where I thought that I wasn't enough, because I remember when I would sit in some of those conference rooms and I'm like, I don't know, my accent isn't as so which means, and my fear would say, because you want them to understand you, you want your points to be clear, but underneath of it was really that, oh shoot, I don't think my ideas would be valuable because I did not grow up here, or I did not study exactly what they studied. I didn't. But what began happening when I started to lean into the courage to actually express who I be in the moment in those rooms, I realized I was a gift to the room, because the perspective I brought was different than the status quo. because I had an accent, people leaned in more so that they could hear what I'm saying, you know? So that thing that you think is a deficiency, you know, if you're straddling 2 cultures, 3 cultures, whatever it is, and you think it's a deficiency, it is a gift. It's actually part of your superpower. Embrace it. Let me see what's happening here. Hey, Vonda. Yes, indeed. Love it. Just be. Absolutely. Just be. So tell me, Vonda, what cultures are you straddling? Right on a gift. Absolutely. Absolutely. We become this gift. All of a sudden, our ideas are heard. We are seen and we are heard. And it really, honestly, it took me a while to get it. It took me really learning about myself, really digging deep with myself, getting coached, getting mentored, and really gathering some skills and tools. And here's what I also know. This is a thing that I will always walk with. Ah, Creole. Yes, we will always walk with this. Always. I will always navigate this. But the difference today from who I was 20 years ago is that I have the skills and the tools to navigate it with less angst, with less fear, less anxiety, and I get to be in the fullness of my own self, my own expression. Because what I know to be true, what I know that I know that I know that I know, I don't care who we are birthed through, we each have our own unique assignments. I hope you catch that. We each have our own unique assignments. Because, I mean, you will hear statements back home like, you're supposed to do that. Do you know where you come from? That's what we do, okay? That's what we do. Whether it has anything to do with my assignment or not. Do you know whose child you are? Do you know what ethnicity, what ethnic group you belong to? We don't do that. You can't bring this man in here. You know he's not one. What if it's not aligned with your own assignment? Then what? Then what? And so I invite you really to, as you're navigating this world, your own assignment, your relationships, because this shows up in relationships, and I'm going to continue talking about this because this has been so present on my heart. I mean, we see this in relationships, we see this in the workplace, with your friends. You find a way to isolate yourself and or just stay with the same group of people because you know that group would accept you, and the ones that won't, that you think won't accept you, you kind of isolate yourself. You take yourself out of it, and then you complain and feel like you don't belong, and you say you're not accepted, they're not accepting you. Meanwhile, you're the one that unplugged yourself from the groups because you have this internal conflict going on, and most times you don't even know how to articulate it. And so what I want to leave you with, what I really, really want to leave you with today is this multicultural straddle is your gift. It's a gift for you. It is part of your superpower. It is not a deficiency. It is not a deficiency. There's nothing wrong with you. In fact, it is a part of the thing that makes you unique. It's part of the thing that makes you beautiful. It's part of the thing that makes you powerful. So lean into it. Lean into it. All right? If you know anyone that needs to hear this message or just even engage in this conversation, because I really want to continue having this conversation, because there's so many of us out here that are straddling these different cultural fences. Okay? So tag them, bring them into this conversation. Let's have this conversation. Yes, our own unique assignments, Vonda, for sure. A gift indeed. It is a gift, not a deficiency. Listen, when I got that, I set myself free, because for far too long, even, let me tell you before I hop off, even growing up in Nigeria, because I was born here. By the time I went home, I was about 4. So I had a foundation, and I have older brothers. So we had the brother that is right before me, he's 5 years older than me. So we already had an American foundation, if you will. And so even in my schools, I do remember people saying, she's a little Americana. I was already looked at externally in that way. And all of that internalization of, oh, who am I, was already there at a very young age. And that's actually on the motherland. You know, so I've navigated this for all my life. And it's not going to change. But I get to navigate it today powerfully. In my personal power, in my own truth, in my own God-given energy. And I love it. I love it. So yes, a gift indeed, not a deficiency. So I'll see you all later. Let me know what else resonates for you on this, and tag whoever needs to join this conversation. I'll talk to you all. Take care. Bye.